So guys, Corey with Famous Media. We're here today at the B&H Superstore, and I'm getting ready to give you guys a full review of the Nikon D7100. It's finally here, and I'm finally bringing you the full review, so we can sit here all day and talk about features, or we can get to the streets and get to the action, and show you what this bad boy can do. So the D7100 is, oops, I left the anti-aliasing filter out, just like the D800E. However, this camera comes equipped with a big bang for buck, and I'm going to explain to you why I think it's the best value DSLR on the planet of any manufacturing brand. And first off and foremost, this camera comes at a price point that anybody can afford at $1,196 MSRP. B&H and Adorama both have it. I'll put the links down there in the information box for you. So first and foremost, I want to get the bad out of the way first. This has no aperture control. I'm going to put the link down there in the bottom of the screen. I fully explain what aperture control really is. Now, the good features of this camera is it's now got a new information button here, which will pull up a menu and allows you to sign all your previews and anything else that you may want. Of course, your active D lighting, your ISO range, and everything. It's a great feature they've added to the camera. The D7000 doesn't have this feature. This camera also shoots a little faster than the D800E does at 5 frames versus 4. Now, it is slower than the D7000, so be aware of that. The D7000 will do 6 frames a second, and this will only do 5. However, you put this in the new feature, the 1.3 crop mode, which effectively gives you 1.9 crop. You can shoot 6 frames a second. So let's take a walk on the streets. We could sit here all day discussing numbers and features, but that doesn't mean anything unless we get on the street and do some work with it. So let's see how it performs. Just let you guys know, it does have 51 autofocus points, 15 of them cross-type, so you can also do 3D tracking with it. The AF system is definitely upgraded from the D7000, which only had 39 autofocus points and I believe 9 cross-type. So it's a big improvement. Images are tack sharp. The dynamic range on the camera is fantastic. It also comes equipped with 2 SD card slots, which will take SD, HC, or XC cards. It's got the dedicated live view switch right here on the back of the camera, just like the D800 and the D4. It's now got a click when you switch over to switch your light on the top of the LCD screen. Now right now I'm using the 24-70 from Nikon, and I'm going to put that link down there in the bottom so you can see that review. This lens is effectively 36-105, which covers a nice range for the DX. Also, if you're getting a DX camera, it is nice to have DX lenses to go wide, but I recommend getting full frame lenses for most of your portrait work because it'll give you the best quality you can, and you're going to need the best quality lenses to keep up with a camera that's 24 megapixels and has no anti-aliasing filter. Now, another key to pinpoint out for you guys is that if you want to get extra reach and you're using a D800E, it actually crops down to 15 megapixels when you go 1.5 times crop. This is naturally a 1.5 times crop at 24 megapixels. So it gives you all that reach and you don't sacrifice quality. And I'm going to go out and say that this camera is almost as sharp as the D800E, not quite. Another great feature about this camera is that its responsiveness when you press the shutter button. It's very responsive, it doesn't lag, and it takes pictures very quickly. As long as you're not an extreme sports shooter, you'll have no problem with this camera, especially on weddings, portrait work, or anything like that. Now I'm going to demonstrate the 1.3 times crop, which effectively gives you 1.9. So this 24-70 would actually be a 48-140. And on that crop factor, you're still getting 16 megapixels, which is more than enough for most weddings. Also, this speed goes up from 5 frames a second to 6 frames a second. So you can actually shoot faster when you're in crop mode. Now, another great thing that I like about this camera is it steers away from the typical colors in the viewfinder. When you look in the viewfinder, it's actually got like an LED whitish colored blue inside the viewfinder, which is completely different than any of your other cameras. That doesn't really matter much, but it's a nice feature. And you'll see that these images in 1.3 crop mode on this DX camera are tack sharp. People staring at us everywhere. That's why I love Manhattan. So we'll take a little walk and we'll head down the street, take some more pictures with it. Also, it's got a built-in flash, not that it really matters to most professionals, but you need that extra flash and you don't want to carry weight around with you. It works pretty nicely. You've also got your bracketing button on the top left side of the camera, or if you're looking, watching as a viewer, it's on the top right side of the camera, which will allow you to bracket shots. The D7000 didn't have this feature, most DX cameras don't, but you can bracket up to 9 shots with the D7100. It's amazing. Built-in interval shooting as well. So here we go on the top of the D7100. You've got the record button right here, just like all the new cameras. Of course, the shutter button, which is actually slightly changed from the D7000. It's got a little bit better of an angle, and it's more smooth and flat. It's more comfortable for shooting. You got your exposure compensation right here, and of course, you've got your matrix metering right here. You can go from full scene, you turn the dial right down to spot metering. Now, another thing is I don't like the double lock. You've got a lock right here and a lock on the top. I don't really like that because you have to like hold both buttons down if you want to turn both wheels. I'm not really going to complain about it because at least it doesn't jump out of place. Some guys don't like it. I really don't care. Now, the quiet mode on this thing is really not that quiet. It's actually just as loud, if not louder, than the regular shutter button. Last but not least, you got your hot shoe stereo mic recording built into the camera, which is a great feature. You got your diopter and your auto exposure lock right here. But other than that, the only last feature to tell you about is you hold the ISO button right here and the exposure compensation button to reset all your settings. So guys, the D7100, I've also got the battery grip on. It's a very comfortable camera to hold. It's not too heavy at all. The battery... He's going. Sorry guys, between the ignorant cabs and the wind, I couldn't get any proper audio at this particular moment, but this camera is very easy to hold, especially with the battery grip. I'm going to put the link down there in the bottom of the screen for you, and it just feels really good in the hands. And of course, the grippage right here on the right side of the camera where you put your thumb is very comfortable. It just fits in your hands perfectly. It's a very well-balanced DSLR and one of the most comfortable to hold. You've got your GPS right here. You've also got your headphone jack right there, and they're individual flaps, which I love. Clean HDMI out, that's right. Even $1,100 camera's got clean HDMI out. You got your micro jack for your USB 3 compatibility, and USB 2, and of course your microphone input, which is fantastic. It's got manual control and level control on your microphone. And of course, with all Nikon cameras, it's got your autofocus and manual focus adjuster for the motor inside. What this is if your lens doesn't have an auto-focusing motor, this has it built in. The D5100, D5200, and cameras below do not. This is your motor right here. So that's a fantastic feature. Of course, you hold down the button, you turn your dial up here, and you can adjust your autofocus points from continuous to manual or to fully automatic. 3D tracking, of course, is in there, and it's the best tracking available. 3D tracking is amazing on this camera. You gotta beat that light. I'm gonna give you a little demonstration now. 3D tracking is amazing. Just an amazing camera all around. responsive.
The D7100 has got 51 autofocus points, 15 which are cross-type, which makes autofocusing a breeze, real snappy to pull subjects into focus. Also, they put a new screen in this camera which is fingerprint resistant and anti-glare, which is actually better than the D4 and the D800 screen. Go figure. In harsh sunlight, you are still going to see true colors on this screen. It's truly the nicest screen I've seen on a DSLR yet. Also, here comes the leader of the Homeless Guy Tours. He's going to try to give us some tips on where we should be shooting.
He's giving us pointers of where to go. Got your face on camera, you crappy cab driver. Here's some tourists taking some pictures. So in conclusion, I say that the D7100 is the best value DSLR on the market. Absolutely love this camera. If you're a full frame shooter, you can definitely add this to your camera bag, especially if you want to get the extra reach and higher resolution. You know, you got a 70-200, you want to make it 300, even 400 mil with the crop mode, you can do that. Gives you more versatility and range. It's also a lighter camera. It's easier to get in and out of your camera bag when you're trying to get into situations quickly. You don't want to carry all the heavy gear. It makes it easier to maneuver around for quick shots. And not to mention, it does video very, very well. I'll give you a little demonstration of video here. Disappointed with it anyway. It's pretty much, like I said, the best DSLR on the market for its price point. You can't go wrong with the battery. You're less than $1,500. Even pros will get some serious use out of it.
So that's all well and good. The camera performs well on the street, but how does it do in low light? So here we go. ISO 400, perfect. Couldn't get much better than that. Moving on to ISO 800, still perfect. No noise whatsoever. Move it along to ISO 1600 and it's still cleaner than an obsessive compulsive person's hands. Moving on to ISO 3200 and there is very little, if any, noise at all. The files are 100% usable. Moving on to ISO 6400, you can see a little bit of noise creeping into the midtones, but this image is still amazing. Moving on to ISO 12800 and you can still use this image. The XB3 processor is working for you right there. On to ISO 25600 and it finally fails. No camera is perfect. This looks like hacked up photo footage from a 2002 Nokia phone. The Nikon D7100 seems like the perfect DX camera. In fact, it is. It's the greatest one ever released of any manufacturer. 51 autofocus points, 15 cross-type, 100% viewfinder, 1080p and 720p, and it also does 60p and 50p in 1080 mode, which is unbelievable for a DSLR. This also has clean HDMI out, headphone jack, and microphone jack. It also has complete manual control over your audio. It does 9 bracketed photos at a time, exposure compensation up to 5 stops, and the list just goes on and on. Many individuals are holding off on the D7100 in the hopes that a D300S replacement will come out. But instead of holding off for something that's possible, go out and grab the D7100 and enjoy what's here right now, which is the greatest DX camera ever released.
So I hope this review has been helpful for you guys. My review on the D7100 from Nikon. We've also got D7100 versus D800E, and it's oops, I forgot to put the anti-aliasing filter in challenge against those two cameras in comparison to see which camera is actually better. So I'll go ahead and put that link down there in the bottom for you. I'm Corey with Famous Media. If you'd like to buy any of the gear I review, I'll put the links down there in the bottom for you. Happy shooting.